Greetings, quiet warriors. Listen carefully, because this one doesn't look dangerous at all. There's a type of woman most men never see coming. She doesn't shout. She doesn't fight. She doesn't even argue most of the time. And that's exactly why she's the most dangerous. You see, most men think a dangerous woman is loud, dramatic, obvious. But the truth is the ones that destroy you are calm, calculated, and patient. Let me ask you something, and answer this honestly. Have you ever felt like you're slowly changing in a relationship, but you can't explain when it started? You're not as sharp as before. Not as confident. Not as certain. Nothing dramatic happened. No big fight. No clear betrayal. Just a quiet shift. That's not random. That's influence. And if you don't understand it, you won't even realize it's happening until you've already lost control of your own direction. By the end of this video, you're going to see patterns you've probably ignored for a long time. And here's the uncomfortable part. You might already have someone like this close to you. Not a stranger. Not an enemy. Someone you trust. Stay with me, because the last sign is the one most men realize too late, when the damage is already done. But let's start with the most powerful one. Sign number 1. She studies you more than she loves you. At first, it feels like attention. She remembers everything about you. Your habits. Your triggers. What makes you happy? What makes you insecure? And you think, wow, she really understands me. No. She's mapping you. There's a difference. A woman who cares about you listens to connect. A dangerous one listens to control. Notice this. She brings up your past, not to heal it, but at very specific moments. Right when you're vulnerable. Right when you're doubting yourself. Right when you're about to make a decision that doesn't benefit her. Suddenly she reminds you of your failures. Remember the last time you tried that? Sounds innocent, right? But it's not. It's strategic. Psychology calls this emotional anchoring. She ties your confidence to your past mistakes, so you hesitate in the present. And once you hesitate, you become easier to control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But what happens when someone learns how to influence your mind? That's when your strength quietly disappears without you even noticing. Let me give you a real scenario. You're about to take a risk, maybe a business move, a decision, something bold. Instead of supporting you, she says, "I just don't want you to get hurt again." Sounds caring. But listen deeper. She's not protecting you. She's keeping you predictable. Because a predictable man is easy to manage. Here's the test. Ask yourself, does she bring out your courage or your hesitation? Because a dangerous woman doesn't need to fight you. She just needs to make you doubt yourself. And once that happens, you start shrinking while thinking you're being careful. Now here's where it gets deeper. If she understands you this well, what else is she capable of? That leads to the second sign. And this one confuses a lot of men because it feels like peace. But it's not peace. It's control disguised as calm. Sign number 2. She avoids conflict but not for the reason you think. Now, a Stoic man values peace. You don't want unnecessary drama. You don't want chaos. So when you meet a woman who never argues, it feels like a blessing. But be careful. Because not all silence is wisdom. Some silence is strategy. She doesn't argue. She doesn't confront. She doesn't express clearly when something is wrong. Instead, She stores it, observes it, waits, and then uses it later when it gives her maximum advantage. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more harmful than the injury that provokes it." But what he didn't say is this: suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It transforms. In her case, it becomes calculated behavior. You think everything is fine until one day, she brings up 5 different things you didn't even know were problems. Not to resolve them, but to overwhelm you. And now you're confused. Because you never even had the chance to address them earlier. This is called delayed confrontation. And it's powerful. Because it puts you in a defensive position, instantly. Let me make this real for you. Imagine this. For weeks, everything feels normal. No complaints. No tension. Then suddenly she switches. Cold. Distant. Unreachable. And when you ask what's wrong, she says, nothing. That one word. That's not peace. That's control. Because now, you're the one chasing clarity. You're the one overthinking. You're the one trying to fix something you don't even understand. Epictetus said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." But a dangerous person doesn't want clarity. They want confusion. Because confusion weakens your position. And once you're emotionally off balance, they take control of the dynamic. So ask yourself this. When something is wrong, does she communicate to resolve it? Or does she withdraw and make you guess? Because a woman who avoids conflict in a healthy way brings peace. But a woman who avoids it strategically creates silent chaos. And the worst part? You don't even see it happening until you're already affected. Now here's where it gets even more subtle. Because the next sign doesn't look negative at all. In fact, most men are attracted to it. It feels like admiration. It feels like support. It even feels like loyalty. But underneath, it's something else entirely. And if you miss this one, you might mistake control for love. Let's go deeper. Sign number 3. She mirrors you perfectly until you lose yourself. At first, it feels almost unreal. Same opinions. Same tastes. Same mindset. You like something, she likes it too. You hate something, suddenly she does too. You start thinking, this is rare, this is alignment. No. That is imitation. And it's one of the most powerful psychological tactics anyone can use. It's called mirroring. Now understand this clearly. Healthy connection has similarities. But it also has differences. A real person challenges you sometimes. Disagrees with you sometimes. Shows you another perspective. But she becomes whatever version of herself fits you best. Why? Because people trust what feels familiar. And the more she feels like you, the more you lower your guard. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." But here's the twist. With her, the danger is real. Because while you're getting comfortable, she's gaining access. Access to your thoughts. Your beliefs. Your patterns. And once she has that, she can influence you without resistance. Let me show you how this plays out. At the beginning, you talk about discipline, growth, purpose. She agrees with everything. Supports everything. Even admires you for it. But slowly, things shift. Not aggressively. Subtly. You start skipping small routines. Breaking small rules. letting small things slide. And she doesn't stop you. She adapts. Now she's just like you again, but this time, a weaker version. And without realizing it, you've moved away from who you were. Not because she forced you, but because she blended into you, and pulled you off course. That's the danger. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But what happens when someone slowly changes the color, without you noticing? You wake up one day, and you're not as sharp, not as focused, not as disciplined, and you can't even explain why. Here's the question that will expose this instantly. If you remove her influence from your life for a moment, do you become stronger or weaker? Because a dangerous woman doesn't break you directly. She reshapes you quietly. Now stay sharp. Because the next sign is where most men get emotionally trapped. And once you fall into this one, it's hard to think clearly again. Sign number 4. She makes you feel guilty for having boundaries. This one is dangerous because it attacks something every man needs, which is standards. At the beginning, everything is smooth. She respects your space, your time, your priorities. But then, the moment you start enforcing boundaries, things change. You say, "I need time to focus." She says, "So now I'm not important." You say, "I don't tolerate disrespect." She says, "Wow, you've changed." You say, "I can't do this right now." She says, "You don't care about me anymore." Notice the pattern. She doesn't attack your boundary directly. She attacks your identity. She makes you feel like being disciplined equals being cold. Having standards equals being selfish. Choosing yourself equals hurting her. And slowly, you start adjusting. Not because you want to, but because you don't want to feel like the bad person. This is emotional manipulation at its finest. Psychology calls this guilt conditioning, where someone trains you to associate your strength with emotional punishment. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But how can you be a master of yourself if every time you choose yourself, do you feel guilty? Let me make this real. You had a routine. You had focus. You had direction. But now, you're constantly explaining yourself, justifying your actions, overthinking simple decisions. That's not love. That's control disguised as emotional need. And here's the most dangerous part. You don't even notice when it starts. Because it doesn't begin with pressure. It begins with affection. That's how she gets in. And once she's in, she rewires how you respond to your own standards. So ask yourself this. When you stand firm, does she respect it? Or does she make you feel like you're doing something wrong? Because a woman who values you will respect your boundaries. But a dangerous one, she will make you abandon them on your own. Now listen. It gets even deeper. Because the next sign doesn't attack your boundaries. It attacks your reality. And once that happens, you don't just lose control. You lose clarity. Sign number 5. She makes you question your own reality, and calls it misunderstanding. At first, it's small. Almost unnoticeable. You remember something clearly. She says it didn't happen like that. You bring up something she said. She tells you you're twisting her words. You feel a certain way. She tells you you're overreacting. And because you're calm, rational, trying to be fair, you pause. You reconsider. You think, maybe I'm wrong. That moment right there. That's the entry point. This is what psychology calls gaslighting. But forget the label for a second. Focus on the effect. Your certainty starts to weaken. Not all at once. Gradually. Like water dripping on stone. You stop trusting your memory. You stop trusting your instincts. You even stop trusting your emotions. And once that happens, you become dependent on her version of reality. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." But what happens when someone starts controlling your estimate? Now they don't need to control the situation. They control how you interpret it. That's power. Let me show you how subtle this gets. You say, "That bothered me." She says, "You're too sensitive." You say, "You said something different before." She says, "That's not what I meant, you just misunderstood." You say, "This doesn't feel right." She says, "You're overthinking everything." And slowly, you stop speaking up. Not because you don't feel something, but because you don't trust your own feelings anymore. That's the trap. Seneca said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." But in this case, the greatest obstacle becomes doubt. Because when you doubt yourself, you delay decisions. You tolerate more. You stay longer than you should. Here's the question that will wake you up instantly. Do you feel more clear when you're around her or more confused? Because confusion is not a sign of depth. It's often a sign of manipulation. And once your clarity is gone, your strength follows. Now stay with me. Because the next sign is where the damage becomes visible. This is where your life starts to shift. And not in a good way. Sign number 6. Your life starts shrinking and you call it love. This one is dangerous because it feels like sacrifice. And society has taught you. Sacrifice equals love. So you don't question it. At first. It's small adjustments. You spend a little less time with friends. You delay some goals. You shift your priorities slightly. Nothing extreme. Nothing alarming. But over time, those small adjustments become your new normal. You stop doing the things that made you sharp. You stop being around people who challenged you. You stop pursuing things that gave you purpose. And instead, your world becomes smaller. Centered around her, and how to keep things good. You tell yourself, "It's just a phase. I'm just being committed. I'm prioritizing the relationship." But deep down, you feel it. Something is off. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Meaning, growth requires discomfort. But what happens when your life becomes too comfortable? Too controlled? Too limited? You stop growing. And when a man stops growing, he starts declining. Here's the truth most people won't say. A healthy relationship expands your life. It doesn't reduce it. It doesn't isolate you. It doesn't slowly disconnect you from your purpose. Let me make this real. Before her, you had vision. You had movement. You had direction. Now, you're managing emotions. Avoiding tension. Trying to keep things stable. That's not growth. That's survival. And the most dangerous part. You don't notice the shift. Because it happens gradually. Like a slow fade. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." But how can you become that man, if your environment is quietly pulling you away from it. So ask yourself this. Is your life expanding? Or shrinking? Because if it's shrinking, that's not love. That's control in disguise. Now listen carefully. Because the final sign is the one that reveals everything. This is where the mask drops. This is where you finally understand who she really is. And by the time most men see this, they're already too deep. Sign number 7. She switches when you're no longer useful to her. This is the one most men never expect. Because everything before this point, it was subtle. It was quiet. It was confusing. But this is clear. Sharp. Undeniable. You start noticing a change in her energy. Not mood swings. A complete shift. The warmth you used to feel. Gone. The support. Gone. The patience. Gone. And you're left thinking, what did I do wrong? That question right there. That's how deep the conditioning went. Because instead of seeing the pattern, you blame yourself. But here's the truth. You didn't suddenly become the problem. You just stopped being useful. Maybe you started setting boundaries. Maybe you became less emotionally dependent. Maybe you stopped chasing her approval. Or maybe she simply found a new source of attention. And now you're no longer needed. So she withdraws. Cold. Detached. Unrecognizable. No explanation. No closure. Just distance. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." But in this moment, you don't feel free. You feel trapped. Confused. Even desperate. Because your mind is trying to return to how things used to be. But that version, it was never real. It was a phase. A setup. And now you're seeing the truth without the mask. Let me give you a scenario that hits hard. You confront her calmly. You ask for clarity. You try to understand. And instead of meeting you halfway, she becomes distant. Or worse. She makes it seem like you're the one creating problems. And suddenly, you're chasing answers from someone who already checked out. That's the shift. That's the moment you realize. This was never stable. It was conditional. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself." But when you depend on someone else for emotional stability, they control your peace. And a dangerous woman understands that. So when she pulls away, she knows exactly what it does to you. Now listen carefully. This is where you take your power back. Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." Meaning, see reality as it is. Not as you want it to be. Because the moment you accept the truth, you stop negotiating with it. And when you stop negotiating, you become dangerous in a different way. Calm. Aware. Untouchable. So what do you do now? First, you observe without emotion. Not everything needs a reaction. Sometimes, clarity is enough. Second, you rebuild your internal stability. Your focus. Your discipline. Your purpose. Not for her. For you. Because a man who is grounded in himself cannot be easily manipulated. And third, you raise your standards. Not just for others, but for what you tolerate. Because what you tolerate teaches people how to treat you. Now let me leave you with this. You don't need to hate her. You don't need to fight her. You don't even need to expose her. You just need to see clearly. Because once you truly see, you can't be controlled the same way again. And that's the real power. Hey friend, don't go yet. If this opened your eyes, then you need to see this next. Because there are 7 evident signs that there is an evil woman in your life. And the difference is this. In this video, you learn the patterns. But in that one, you'll see the signs you can't ignore. The ones that hit you instantly, and change how you see everything. Click that video on your screen right now. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Subscribe to Stoic Quiet Strength. Because this is where you learn to see what others miss. And move differently because of it. Like this video. Drop your comments. And share this video to someone today. And before you go, ask yourself one honest question. Who around me has been quietly shaping my reality? Answer that carefully. Because your life depends on it. This is Stoic Quiet Strength. And this channel is here for you. Until next time.